JJ, the CPA is here. Let's go, let's go. Yeah.
JJ, the CPA here. Hope you're doing well. Hey, listen, I wanted to give you some kind of overview, updated info related to the economic injury disaster loan. And you're right, the lighting isn't that great. We got some bulbs coming over here. This was kind of a surprise. I know that it was probably going to happen potentially sometime this week, but just before 6 p.m. my time, Central Daylight Time, the SBA came out and has opened up the portal to allow any small business that's eligible, of course, to apply for the economic injury disaster loan, which at the same time you're applying to be considered for the EIDL advance. So I'm throwing together a number of videos. I'm a CPA, 28 years of practice. I know what you're here for, the info, okay? So is this perfect? Well, you know what? You didn't have to pay for the video. I know you had to watch 5 seconds of an ad, which I appreciate. Hey, let me get to it. I'm just having fun with you, trying to entertain you. Right now, what I need you to know is that you're gonna get a little bit of info on the EIDL. At the end of this, I've got a playlist to go and get more information about the EIDL. If you need this money, you need to apply for it. It's going to run out. So I'm glad you're watching this video. I'm gonna give you a little bit of overview of the 4 different kinds. I do have a couple of the videos where I go into it much more length, but I'm giving you a quick overview. And then in this same video, I'm gonna talk about very quickly what you can use the EIDL with, how it interacts with the PUA, how it interacts with the PPP, how the advance and the loan all work together. But basically, we've got 4 levels to the EIDL. We've got the advance that's up to $10,000. Okay, it's a grant, you don't pay it back. It's $1,000 per employee, max 10 grand. If you're a Schedule C filer, self-employed, I've got a special video I did just for you where I walk through the whole Schedule C with you and where specifically to pull that information. But you are one employee, unless you are paying W-2 employees on your Schedule C, not paying 1099s. Then the next level is a $25,000, what they call an SBA Express loan. Then there's a $250,000 level and a $2 million level. The biggest differences between any of these, okay, these 3 is just what's required with the loan, okay? Up to $25,000 in addition to the advance, okay? So this would be above the advance. $25,000, no collateral, no guarantee. Hopefully I spelled those correctly. Up to $250,000, no guarantee, but does require collateral. And then up to $2 million, yes, you have to guarantee it, and yes, you have to have collateral. Maybe I spelled that wrong. You know what? It's been a long day. I think you get it. Just shows that I'm a good CPA, maybe not the best speller. The thing to note with these all down here, okay, 2, 3, and 4, these are all loans. They're not forgivable. It's a loan, okay? You're gonna pay it back. It's up to 30 years, a 3.75% interest rate. Your payments are deferred for 12 months, and then there's no prepayment penalty. Basically, when you go to apply, you don't get to put down the amount. You're putting in information. So I've got several videos. Check out the playlist where I talk about what to have ready, what's crucial, what to pay attention to, what to make sure that you match. I've put together a list of the documents, a general list of what you're gonna need, what you wanna make sure you're matching up. So on my website, jjthecpahelp.com. All right, now, let's visit about the things that you can do with an EIDL and what you can't. All right, so for all 4 of these things that we just talked about, okay, it's the same use and same non-use. So I'm holding this so that the glare won't be quite as deep. So these are all the same. This is all EIDL. Doesn't matter if it's an advance, the express, the 250 or 2 million. It's all EIDL, okay? So it's for ongoing and operating expenses only. That's it. It's not for buying assets. It's not for refinancing loans. It's not to pay the owner back. And in fact, it's not for major repairs to where, in essence, you would be almost replacing an asset, hardcore repair. So what are your ongoing and operating expenses? How often do you buy it? Well, if it's once a year, is it an annual dues? Is it an annual fee? Okay, well, sounds like an operating expense. If it's, only every couple years I buy, well, I mean, maybe it's a type of insurance, but most things you're paying them routinely. So when it's ongoing and it's on operating expenses, it's that, but it includes loan payments, not just the interest. It includes payroll. It includes payroll to you. If you're self-employed, it covers all of your overhead expenses. There's no such thing as payroll to you as a self-employed, sole proprietor, gig worker, independent contractor, sole proprietor that files Schedule C. Even if you have a separate bank account, even if you're pulling money out on some kind of routine basis, which is cool, you don't have income. You don't have wages, is your thinking. So when I hear self-employed, like, well, when can I pull my income out? Well, you earned it. You already got it. So if you're getting an EIDL as a self-employed, you don't get to just pull money out and go, oh, well, I'm using it now for operating expenses. But here's the thing. You have them to cover continual operating expenses. There's no time frame. You don't have to use it up. There's no hole in your pocket. This isn't burning a hole in your pocket. So at the end of the day, it's for ongoing expenses. If you're paying yourself a W-2 wage, if you're paying yourself guaranteed payments out of a partnership, then you can continue to do that. No, it does not include distributions, period. Doesn't include dividends to yourself, okay? Those aren't routine things. And even if you're doing a routine distribution, you shouldn't, because it's not how that stuff's supposed to work. Nonetheless, it's ongoing operating expenses. So you can come up with every little scenario, but what I want you to come back to when you're asking the question of whoever it is, it's like, well, is that something that I normally do? Like literally normally do? Well, that's probably an ongoing operating expense. All right, hey, one other thing I'm gonna cover. Okay, so for these four things, okay, anything with the EIDL, when you're mixing it with PPP, okay, use your PPP money for those qualified expenses first, okay? So what are we talking about? For payroll costs, rent, utilities, and interest, use the PPP money that you have for those expenses first, and then you can use EIDL monies for those expenses, okay? Now, you can immediately, if you happen to have PPP and EIDL funds at the exact same time, well, you can use EIDL funds for anything that's a ongoing and operating expense that's not payroll, rent, utilities, or interest, okay? So if you got both, it's okay. Not gonna have any effect other than one aspect, which I'll cover here in just a minute, but the EIDL does not affect the PPP as long as you're not spending it on the same money. Well, what happens if you spend it on the same money? Well, then you gotta refinance your EIDL into your PPP, which you don't wanna do. PPP loan has a shorter period of time. Yes, it has less interest. So if you're now trying to develop some kind of strategy on, well, if I get EIDL and PPP, and I'm not interested in it. That's not what this is about. Your house is on fire. We're putting houses out. It's not time to strategize and how do I get this money and that money and then refinance it and work it out between 1 and 30 year, blah, 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 blah. Just not interested in answering those kind of questions. All I'm trying to tell you is that use it for different expenses, period. Pretty simple, okay? Then, how does it mix with PUA? No effect either way. PUA is not affected by EIDL. EIDL does not affect PUA. Okay, one last thing. So when you get this advance, okay, this is the grant. Okay, it's $1,000 per employee. Okay, Schedule C, it's 1. You don't have to pay it back. It's up to $10,000, so $1,000 per employee. Whatever dollar amount you get, period, the end, SBA just clarified this with the PPP application on the 15th of May, as well as their guidelines on the 22nd of May, which I see no reason that's going to change with the Flexibility Act. But it reduces down your PPP loan forgiveness. So if you get $5,000 and you get a PPP, it's going to reduce down the loan forgiveness by $5,000. This, no effect on your PPP, as long as you do what I just said, use up your PPP monies first, okay? So whatever you get on the advance, when you're doing that loan application, currently page 3, line 11, on the current application, June 15th, whatever your forgiveness amount is, whatever you got on the EIDL grant, EIDL advance, same thing. Yes, you don't have to pay it back, but yes, that amount reduces down your loan forgiveness. We thought that there was a difference between when you got the advance, if it was before or after April 3rd. Turns out, don't matter. So you don't want to use the EIDL for payroll. Doesn't matter that it's going to still affect your forgiveness. Don't use it, okay? Just follow the rules on it. Now, I do get asked, well, JJ, how do they know what I used first and what I didn't? Well, let's look at this. All right, might be one of the last times I use this. Thing keeps falling. Been using it a lot. So when you're like thinking through, you're like, okay, well, how do they know what I used first? And they don't, okay? But then just be smart about what you're doing. So let's just, a couple of quick things, okay? Let's just say that your bank balance before you get PPP and EIDL is $5,000. Okay, let's say you get PPP of 8. Pretend you don't even have the EIDL. Okay. Well, you got your PPP. You're using it for PPP purposes. If the EIDL rolls in, okay, well, if you were to get this and this and this, so if on Monday you got this, and on Tuesday you got this, okay, and on Wednesday you got this, well, then what do we got here? We got $17,000. Okay? So you just kind of look at it as, here's the monies that came in. Okay? It's kind of first in, first out. What came in? What came in? What came in? So if you got PPP money, okay, and it's time to pay the dues, time to pay some kind of an expense, right? Well, you're sitting on $17,000. What you're wanting to do here then is, if you have $17,000, you didn't go pay $17,000 off on your credit card because you can't use that. If you're sitting on $17,000 over here, okay, you didn't just go buy a car for cash for $15,000, okay? If you're sitting on $17,000, you didn't take 12 of it to go buy whatever, go on a trip. Follow? More, what's important here is that the money that's yours, okay, you're not using more than that for the things that this doesn't cover. Does that make sense? That's more what I think you need to be aware of versus, well, when am I using this and when am I using that? More what I think you should be worried about is that you're not using more than what's your money for expenses that are not qualified over here, okay? So if you're self-employed or you have your own business, okay, this stuff right here, you're just following the same order. All I'm getting at is that stop thinking about this part over here and start focusing in on this, okay? Because if you got money for PPP and you're self-employed, okay, you're taking that $8,000, okay, you're going to divide it by 52 times 8, and you can write yourself a check. I got so many videos on that. I got a playlist called Self-Employed PPP. You go watch those videos on that, okay? Then the rest you're spending on utilities and rent and interest, okay? If you have questions related to that, go watch those videos, because this isn't a PPP video. This is an EIDL video. You get the EIDL, you got your $4,000. Well, that's used for any ongoing expense. And you want to use your PPP first. So I'll just bring it back. so many questions, they get all focused in on this. What you need to focus in on is that whatever money you got that's yours, okay, you're not doing anything that would exceed this. The last thing I'll note to you is, so you have this and now you earn some income. Okay, so here comes some income. Now just think about this one and then we're done. Okay, so you have $3,000 that comes in. Okay, of your money, you have $8,000 because this is covering certain expenses. That's covering your ongoing expenses. You have $8,000. Okay, so if this came in on Thursday, right? Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. This came in on Thursday. So at the end of the week, you got $20,000. Okay? Well, you got $8,000 here that if you want to go buy a car, you want to go buy a computer, you want to go buy something that's not covered by these things. So just don't make it too difficult on yourself. Trying to overthink this. I get it's easy to do, but don't. What you need to focus in on is that you're not in a situation that if somebody were to come and look at your bank balances, they'd be like, well, that's interesting. So you had $20K at the end of the week and you went and bought a car. Huh. You're not going to be able to show that that money was used properly. Does that make sense? That makes it easier, I think, on you, is instead of, well, how do I show what was used first and all that good stuff? And then that's why you would want to have an accounting system. That's why you'd want to use QuickBooks, because you'd be able to book it. I've got a video that talks about QuickBooks in the playlist for EIDL. So I got a ton of videos. So if you have any questions, go check out the playlist that I've put together. I've got a link at the end to my self-employed PPP forgiveness playlist. I've got a link coming to you on the PPP forgiveness for employers playlist. I have an EIDL playlist, all at the end. Take your choice. I'm telling you right now, I've got like 400 videos related to PPP, the forgiveness, getting it, EIDL. Know this, with so much flurry right now, I know you may have some questions, but it'd be better to try and check out one of my other videos and then check this out. You definitely need to subscribe. I really appreciate you tuning in. I've got stuff, I think I'm still the first one as these are getting posted with videos on YouTube talking about the EIDL, how to go about it, what list of information that you need. I was live and within minutes of it coming online, we were able to announce it thanks to Russell McDonald. So from my perspective, this is one guy right here, JJ the CPA, you want to be subscribed to, turn on your notifications because I'm trying to help you. All right, hey, and I'll tell you this in closing. If you're like, well, that's interesting, maybe I'll look into that EIDL. That's going to be out by the time you look up. So if you need it, go get it right now. Only get it at SBA.gov. If you need it, go get it. This right here should have answered any other your questions that you have. If you have another little question, it should be about how do I apply, and I got videos for you on that in my EIDL playlist. If you're like, well, but now, so tell me how this works and that works. I covered it enough for you that if you need the money, you need to go get it, okay? So 1 minute of encouragement, okay? Because a lot of times with small business owners, I get it, I'm one. Self-employed individuals, gig workers, independent contractors, sole proprietors, single member LLC, I get it. I'm one too, right? I have a Schedule C and I have my own practice. I've got a number of things that I'm doing. There's no one to talk to. There's no one to visit with. And I love it that you're watching, you're trying to get good information. That's awesome of you. But sometimes what happens with us small business owners, okay, is that we want to check and then we want to recheck and then we want to do this and then we want to, well, what about that? Well, what about this and what about that? And don't get me wrong, I get that that's good business practices. So all I'm saying to you, and I've kind of done this challenge at the end, if you need a little bit more info and a little bit more info and not good, then I don't think you actually need the loan and you shouldn't get it because this isn't just to get the money. You have to pay it back, okay? And with all due respect, there's other people that actually need it. The people that need it and their house is on fire and they're out front and they're taking the spigot and they're trying to put out a fire, that's who needs these loans. They're gonna run out. So if you're trying to, and I don't even mean it in a bad way, right? You're a good business owner. If you're trying like, well, you know, I could do that, and then what if I refinance this, and then, well, I could do that. Now, what about this, and what about that? You're not in an emergency state. That's what this is. It's an economic injury disaster loan, okay? You're not in a disaster if you got another question and another question and another question and another question. Because someone who's in a disaster doesn't wait for the fire department, okay, to figure out how to put the fire out on the stove, okay? Someone's taking that right off the sink and they're spraying it, or they're getting a bowl of water, or they're throwing it over there, okay? Hopefully it's not a grease fire. My point is, you may have called 911, you may have asked for help, but you're not hem-hawing around on how to put a fire out. So if you're not in a disaster, then just don't even worry about applying for this. But if you are, you better get after it. So check out my other videos. That's my encouragement. More to say, think of it this way. I want you to think of it this way in closing. Why am I saying, well, then you must not need it? Because I'm trying to push you, because if you've made it to here, you need it. But I'm trying to push you that you better hurry and get it, okay? We don't know when it's gonna run out, and it's gonna probably be quickly. So get after it. One more question and one more question and one more question. Why? What's the point? You either need this or you don't. You got enough information. You need some more? I got a bunch more videos you can watch. But don't be waiting on an answer to decide if you're gonna do this or not, okay? You gathered up your info. If you're still here, you need it. So stop finding reasons that you have to figure out one other thing and one other thing. Watch my videos on what you need for the application process, because there are specific things that you need, and I lay it out in the video. I've got a list on my website, jjthecpahelp.com. All right, hey, you've never met a CPA quite like me. All right, hey, have a great one. Good luck. Get the money if you need it. If not, I'm glad.
Yeah. JJ, the CPA is here.
The CPA has been serving thousands of businesses for the last 27 years. He is also a national speaker teaching CPAs across the U.S. about the latest tax laws, as well as an author and now what many call a YouTuber. Through this COVID era, JJ became a voice of calm during the pandemic, guiding countless businesses, self-employed individuals, and fellow tax pros through the PPP maze. Now, JJ is taking his know-how to help businesses that have asked for his help to rebound out of this mess that no one saw coming. He is doing this out of his own pocket, not for a fee, and to simply show the American business owner that they are not alone. JJ, America's CPA, is here to help save the entrepreneurial spirit, one business at a time.
Hi, this is JJ, the CPA.
The CPA is here, been doing this for years. We about to get your money right, you got nothing to fear.